Okay, hey everybody. This is Grace, and I thought I would tell a little story of what happened at a store yesterday. I had made the video already about what happened, and then I thought, I never tell the name of stores when something so negative happens, and this one I actually find is a little funny. Usually at some point I do. They say, well, I can laugh now, but that kind of thing happened pretty early on in this one. But it was more of showing how the manager there really wasn't much of a manager, and needed to be in case of emergency or something. Anyway, but I told it, and then I put it on private because I don't usually tell the name of stores. Now, by accident, I think I have once before. So anyway, okay. Now the basic story was this. I've been having these health issues going on, and overall I feel okay. I've actually started working again and stuff like that. But I do have some shortness of breath, and some of it I think is allergies. It's hard to say. I did see the appropriate doctors and health and have appropriate tests and everything. There's still more they want to do and all that. But I'm clear. I'm clear to go and work and exercise and stuff like that. So we shall see. More of that. Hurry up and wait. But anyway, so yesterday I went to a store. It's a big store. There are a lot of big stores. This is Texas. We like our wide open spaces, and we grow everything and make everything big in Texas because we have plenty of room. But anyway, so this is a big store, and I got in and I was walking around, and I wasn't like totally just walking. I was shopping, and it's a different kind of walk, and I started feeling like not so good. And there was no pains or no big aches. It was just, my feeling was, not sick, nothing, but just maybe I should be sitting down or something. So, okay, now I was at the front of the store. Okay, now I was at the front of the store. When this happened, I had just been standing there looking at different things, making some videos even, and buying a few things, putting them in my shopping cart, doing the usual shopping thing. And all of a sudden I felt that, and I thought, wow, what am I going to do? I'm walking around, I'm doing, like, what can I do? And I still have some things I want to get, and I'm going to have to go check out. And I thought, I'll go because I'm on 3 diuretics a day. I want to say it flat out. Truth is truth. I'm on 3 diuretics a day. One of them is from what I understand, I always say, I tell the doctors or something, I say, the generic of, what's it called? Lasix. And they don't correct me, so I'm guessing that's what it is. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, one of them is. The other 2 I've been on for a while. But, so I thought, okay, go to the restroom, and, maybe that just sitting down part of it there's no other place in this store to sit down. And just going out, to the restroom, sit down, and, so I can catch my breath and everything. And, it really wasn't breathing heavy or anything. Just wasn't feeling right. So I walked back there really slow. It's a huge store. I walked all the way back there really slow. And the restrooms, I know that they're way in the back, far corner, and it's just one bathroom. One for women, one for men. And you have to have a key to get in. And it's not like there's no stalls. It's just you open the door and that's the whole restroom. It's kind of big. It's just one. I keep losing my voice. But you see what I'm saying? Just one. There's one laboratory and one. You get it. Anyway, there's not like two people cannot go in there. You know, two people, two strangers. My goodness, why am I having trouble saying it? But you get what I'm saying. So I walked up to I know it, and then okay, I really don't know why I am losing my voice so much, having to stop, turn it off, and all that. But well, it's allergies, and they're saying on the news, on the weather, saying that pollen is really bad here in north central Texas, north of Dallas. Anyway, so I went back there, and you have to leave your shopping cart. You can't have your shopping cart in the restroom with you. Okay, no problem. And I just leave mine right there by the door on the. You put it on the little corner where there's just a wall. Okay. And I saw one that was right in front of the door. It had 3 items in it. I thought, okay, I didn't know that it could. I thought the sign had said something like none beyond this point. But anyway, so I waited, stood out there, and I figured somebody was in there. And I waited and I waited and I waited. So I knocked, just tap, tap, tap. And this woman, and she reminded me of somebody. I don't know this person. She reminded me of something that happened in my neighborhood. I'm driving down my neighborhood. This is like a year or 2 years ago. I don't know. It's been a long while. And I was driving down the road, and a woman just backed out of a house right in front of me. Seriously, just shoom, backed out, and she was around my age. And I'm down the road, and I'm looking at her, and she backs up in front of me, and she squeezes herself. There's cars parked on both sides. And she squeezes herself next to me. She says, "I'm coming to your house and I'm taking care of business." Or something like that. Did not know the woman. She was bonkers. Never seen her before. Never seen her before then. Never seen her since then. I mean, none of that. So, did she even live there? She was driving a nice vehicle. Seemed okay. All that. But just bonkers. Really, "I'm gonna come to you." She said it twice too, and I'm like, oh my God, you meet all kinds, you meet all kinds. Okay, this story just got interrupted by, I'm driving right in front of Walmart here. Just turned in there. I'm driving in front, and a guy comes out. 2 guys in a big SUV, and I didn't know they were guys when it happened. But they just pulled it right out in front of me. Speaking of somebody pulling out in front of me. And I raised my hand like, you would, going like, what? Just pulled out in front of me. I could have hit them so easily. And I raised my hand like, not both of them, but just one, maybe both. Like, what? And he come in, as he turned in front of me, he did his fingers, I don't know, maybe something ethnic. And something else, but at me. This happens. People do something wrong, they're gonna blame you. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna say it's you because you actually dared to raise your hand and say, what? I wasn't doing anything ethnic. Anyway, okay, I'm starting to wonder if I'm in a dangerous one. Actually, it's not, but just people acting weird today. Quite weird, really. Seriously, somebody just driving down the road, and he got on the other side. Like, what is this man doing? So I was straight. Kept going straight, and he was backing up to get into a parking spot. I guess he thought me and the other people that were going the other way were supposed to stop for him. They almost hit him too. Just stop and just, what? Anyway, I'm not getting this story out, but so the woman in the neighborhood, 1-2 years ago, however long, she just backed out in front of me, and I had to stop, and it was narrow because People park on both sides of the road in the busy part right there, and it makes it go down to one lane. And she just pulled out in front of me. I was on the road. She was at her house, or somebody's just turning around. I think she was just turning around because that SUV has never been there since. Okay, so anyway, I'm doing this because there's kids walking around, but I don't put kids in my videos. Anyway, so I'm in there in this. I mean, okay, that's the story about the woman that went out in front of me, but 1 to 2 years ago. But her voice, you know how when something happens to you, something really odd, you kind of don't forget the voice. You know what I mean? You remember the voice. And her voice, I mean, she could have been one of my sisters, seriously. Just the sound, the tone. She could have grown up in Texas where I did. It's not Dallas. And has that kind of accent, all of it. It just sounded like the woman that backed out in front of me that year, and the woman that was in the restroom in this store. Seriously, this is what this woman did. Okay, like I said, it was way in the back, and I tapped on the door, said hello, you know, or something, and this woman screamed out that she's in the restroom, and I could see her basket. Now, that's what they would call it where I grew up. They wouldn't call it shopping carts. It was basket. And I could see her basket sitting there. And she just kept going on and on. And I'm like, oh, this is so ridiculous. You know, just ridiculous, because while I was standing there, and while I was standing there waiting, at first, I could hear, they used to call it Muzak. I don't know if they still call it Muzak or not. But you know, that's music. And also like the, what is it called? The intercom, overhead intercom, you know, and why do we ever call it overhead intercom? I don't know. When they're saying, you know, so and so, or you can buy the self stuff. Well, that store does not do that. Does not have that. Does not do that at all. I've been in that store many, many, many times. They don't have music, none of that stuff. Okay, there's somebody putting stuff in there. Two women putting stuff in the back of their car, and they keep looking over at me. Talking to yourself much? Nope. But anyway, so why did I get quiet? Anyway, they can't hear me. I have my windows rolled up. But anyway, so this woman is in the restroom, and I hear that. I'm thinking, why would she be in a restroom playing what had to be like a recording from some other store, but it goes from there, okay, from some other store, including the noise. You know, it could be a video, of course. You know, somebody goes to stores and they do the videos. Usually that, if it's got music, you can't do that because of, you know, violations, copyright violations and such. So, but it goes on from there because I can hear her in there dancing, shuffling, you know, when your feet, you know, shuffle around on the floor. And she's just going to town with it. I'm not kidding. She's probably around my age. I'm 61. And she's in the restroom playing this. That stores doesn't ever do that. And she's dancing. Remember the woman I said that she reminded me of? Was kind of a bit off a rocker. She was going to come to my house. I don't know the woman. Never seen her before. Never seen her since. But she was going to come to my house and take care of some business. She's going to beat me up or something. Oh my God. Well, now there's a man joining them. Okay, they're trying really hard to get everything in there. So anyway, so I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, here I am. I'm not feeling great, but in a way, it's kind of making me laugh. Because, I mean, I'm standing out there, and I'm not the type, really, to get all worked up over something like that. Not anymore, I guess, at a point in my life, maybe, you know, something like that would irritate me. But, I mean, I was saying the words, but not really caring. You know, finally I said, because I waited and waited. And, I mean, just standing there and not moving around was okay, you know, for me. And finally I said, this is ridiculous. You know, just to give her a heads up, that restroom is not hers. This has become ridiculous. And then, I mean, I wasn't, like I said, to me it was like, so I walked off, and I kind of hung around just to see, because there was stuff right there in the store. I can look at that too. And just to see if she was going to come out. Nope. Did not. So I started, you know, doing some shopping. I thought, no, I want to do this. And yes, my name is not Karen. And I really don't like that when people say Karen, because they're being racist, ageist, and sexist. It's always white, middle-aged women. You know, not always, but pretty much, that they're picking on, and because they talk to the manager. The only people that have trouble with people who talk to the manager are people who are slackers, you know, or just people who've heard it and think it's funny, and makes them smart or something. It doesn't make you smart. It just makes you a copycat. Yeah, herd mentality and all that. But anyway, so I thought, I'm going to call the manager, because in a way I was. Yeah, I'm the type, my degrees are in psychology and sociology, and I was thinking, this is not good. At the same time, thinking, that's not healthy. You know, for somebody to be in that restroom dancing, she's off a rocker a little bit, you know? Something's not good. So I called the manager, and I said, and this is what I suspected, because of my health conditions, and I have a rare health condition I've had pretty much my whole life. So I do, as I got older, it causes muscle atrophy to my hamstring muscles. And I have to go when I go to the restroom, it has to be a stall that has those bars to help me to get up. And I have to have one bar, at least, to help me. I can steady myself on, and to get up. And okay, I think they're finally leaving. I hope they don't hit me when they back out of there. Anyway, I'm a little distracted. But what I'm used to is, like, when I go and do these, you know, to a restaurant or something like that, far too often, and I'm talking too often, employees at that whatever restaurant, it's not the same one, I'm talking any of them, far too often employees are taking their break in the restroom stall for people with disabilities. Not kidding, not exaggerating, but far too often. I would say, if I had to think about it, probably around 50% of the time. That's a lot. Employees taking their breaks. So I called this manager. Perfect time for it, you know, for me to finally say something to a manager. And I asked her, so are you the manager? She said, yes. I said, well, do you allow your employees to take their breaks in the restrooms? And she said, no, ma'am, I don't. I said, well, and I told her, I said, there's somebody in the restroom, and she's been in there a good long while. I said, when I walked up, she was in there. It's been at least 10 minutes. It was longer than that. But, you know, I didn't clock it, you know, so, but my guess is it probably was longer. And I was standing, you know, the whole thing, me standing there, then me walking around over there and all that. And she had been already in there, so. And I told the manager, and I said, so, you know, she said, well, you know, she said something like, I don't know, maybe she said, her key phrase, it seemed like, was to say, well, then the restroom is just occupied. I said, do you know, because she said, all my staff is up front, like that. And I said, okay, then. I said, so do you think maybe you should check out to see why this woman is in there that long? Like, maybe for her safety? Because think about it. I mean, seriously. Who hangs out in a restroom, that's my age, and just acting weird? Seriously. Well, I was like I said, I was standing there, and there was some things I could check out right there, and all this. Okie dokie. And I saw, so she said, well, I'll do that. Or she said something, okay, that made me think she's going to do this. So I'm standing there, and I'm about to leave, and I see this man walking up. This is a big store. And he's walking toward the lady, toward that direction, and I'm thinking, wait a minute now. They're sending a man to go and check. There's somebody, they're lost. They're trying to find their vehicle. Weaving in and out, and he's shaking his head. But anyway, they're going to send a man to check out a woman's restroom. That, like I said, it's not like you walk in and their stalls or anything. You walk in, that's the restroom. I'm like, whoa, this is the way they think? Seriously, she's the manager. She is female. But you're going to send this big burly man, and it was a big burly man, to go check it out? Really? So, I just said enough. And I, go ahead and go leave from there. Go ahead and go leave. You know what I mean? Okay, and like I said, it's not a small place, so I could see him walking because I was going around that corner, and so I left that way. And he was walking, and I could see that he was like dumbfounded, or like, what am I gonna do? It's a woman's restroom. I could see him totally confused, and he wasn't like hurrying. He was just like he was confused. And like I'm walking, then all of a sudden she comes up, and she's asking, I think that's when I was just looking at some stuff. Came back around, and she was there, and she was asking him stuff. Well, he did not go to that restroom. Okay, he did not. Because there was not enough room and time and all that for him to do that when I'm, going through those aisles there. And then finally decided to leave. So he didn't go. Why would he? What's he going to do? He can't go in there. You see? That would be an issue. So, and he did not go there. So I just, I left. I went and checked out and everything. And then when I go to the checkout lane, I asked, there was a woman standing at the end of it. It's the same woman that was with him. And, because they were at that inn near there, and she just walked back off and watching her people, like she said, her people, something like that. And she was watching them, all the people checking out, people. And I said, are you the manager? She said, yes, I am. I said, well, I'm the woman who called about the restroom. I said, did she finally get out of the restroom? And she said, the restroom is occupied. Oh boy. Great management skills. I'm telling you, those are so wonderful. Yeah. Okay, my kind of response to that is just to, keep them in my, I'm a mild-mannered person, so I said, yes, it was stranger. He said, is she okay? Because she was in there dancing, and the cashier, her eyes got big, and she said, somebody was in the restroom dancing? Hello? You see, somebody else thinks it's weird, too. Not that management. It's occupied. She just didn't have any management skills. That's all that there was to it. No management skills. So I said, yeah, she's in there dancing and, playing music. And I explained to the music and things like I've said. That one was going, wow. And the manager saying, it's occupied. She's like trying to get me to shut up because I'm not loud. I'm not a loud person. But other customers could hear how strange it was. And I'm pointing out this manager has truly bad management skills. Okay? She shouldn't be up there watching her people. She should be back there making sure that woman comes out of there and is okay. Or call, an ambulance, something. Because something's wrong with somebody in a, my age, in a restroom, playing music really loud like that and dancing. You can hear the shuffling of her feet. She's dancing. Okay? That's just not normal. I don't know in anybody's book that would be normal. But anyway, but then, like I said, the cashier, she was like, whoa, wow. Freaked out about it. So, and then there was a man that had been back there too, and he had seen me back there, and he had probably heard the music, everything. It was another customer. It was a big, another tall, burly guy. And he came up there behind me. He was standing in line behind me, and the manager told him to go to another one. Real rude like. I'm like, okay. Not good management skills at all. Not good customer service skills at all. I was, I remember a time when managers and, people had customer service skills. It wasn't, she so rudely told him to go to another aisle. There was no reason for it. She said, aisle 8 is open, like that. I'm like, he looked at her, she said, okay, and he continued to take his stuff and put it out. I said, oh my God. She had problems. She had problems too. So anyway, I did, but it's one of those things that, after I thought it was funny, but in a way during it I did too. But at the same time not. I mean, that's not normal behavior. Something was wrong there, and it should have been handled and taken care of. Period. Just think it's, people my age, they could have dementia, or whatever. Their medications could be, whatever medications could be messed up. I've been going through nothing like that, but I've been going through times when I'm real tired. Like I said, I was in the store and I just wasn't feeling well, and it could be this one medication that causes me to feel tiredness. That's what they call it. They don't call it fatigue. They don't call it this. It's tiredness. And all of a sudden I'll feel very tired. Okay, it's for blood pressure, by the way. Did I say that already? Yeah. But so many things that it could be that she may have needed to be checked out by, an EMT or whatever, somebody. Before she gets on the road, tries to drive home, all this stuff. She's dancing to music from another store in the restroom. Okay, do it. Drive it home enough. Not normal. Anyway, but I went, I tried to go back, after I checked out, because I was going to show the manager. I was going to look. And I just tried to look down that aisle, and there was a big guy and two people on the other side of him coming the other way, and I couldn't see around all of them to see if she had left. But I did legitimately, I did literally worry about the woman. I worried about her, because that's odd. It's too odd. Anyway, I'm going to go in there to shop. I'll talk to y'all in another video.